competition. I know you're extremely competitive, and there's people that they get weak when people are competitive. Like when people are demanding and people are strong and have that strong mindset, and they're like, I'm gonna be, I'm gonna kick your ass. No, I'm gonna kick your ass. And people start getting extremely competitive. It kind of like the softies get hurt.
Yeah.
And in these times, you can be a softie and you can be weak. Hey guys, welcome back to Driven Channel, and I'm here with a very special guest from San Diego. She made TMG San Diego a reality, so I'm very, very excited, Sayra, to have you finally here. You are a true badass in a good way. So like I really respect you. Me and Syl talk a lot about you. Like whenever we have the meetings here, like because you're in San Diego, so we don't see you all the time, but we see you as much as possible. But whenever we have meetings here, like inside corporate, Tony, Joe Mari, everybody's always talking like, man, you know what? Sayra is like the perfect LO. Like, and your sister says a lot of great things about you too. Like about everything you have going on in life that we'll get into that. But first off, Sayra, can you just tell all the viewers, like, who is Sayra and where did Sayra come from? And then talk into the story of how you got into mortgage.
Yeah. So my name is Sayra now Martinez. We officially got married last year. I am 31 years old. I was born in Mexico. My parents brought me over to the U.S. when I was a year and a half old. I went to school here, did everything from sports to college. I went to UCSD. And we, just always had that desire to work hard and to make my parents proud. My parents are two of the hardest people that I have ever known in my life, and they're the hardest workers. So all of that instilled into me and just made me want to do that, give the same example to my kids. And, when I got into the industry, it was by accident. We've talked a little bit about it before, but, I went to a mortgage company where I was applying to be in accounting.
And just so you know, like, repeat it again, because some of these people have never heard that story. And even though I know it, just say everything. Yeah.
Okay. So I actually, after I had my first son, I went to school for business office administration, and I applied to be a bookkeeper. So I wanted to be into accounting, or so I thought at the time. And I applied, I interviewed at this mortgage company, and my resume got mixed in with the loan officers. So I met with the CEO. He interviews me, and at this time I was 21 years old. So I met with the CEO, and, he said, yeah, I think you have what it takes, but you don't have any experience. Obviously, I had zero book of business to be, a senior loan officer and just out on my own. So, I decided to start from the bottom. I was an office manager, basically, bringing the CEO a cup of coffee with 2 ice cubes every day.
Yeah. 2 ice cubes?
2 ice cubes. And then I became a junior loan officer. So I started working under somebody who taught me a lot about the industry and just taught me what it was to be, in loans. So from then on, I was given the option, do you want to be a loan officer or do you want to be a processor? So at that time, I was a single mom of 2 kids under the age of 2. So I decided, I wanted stability, so I went into processing. And honestly, I don't think I could be as successful as I am and work the way that I do had I not gone into processing, because I learned all the ins and outs. I learned how to fix every problem that came up on a loan. So whether it was from, title issues or where it was, anything that came up when it comes to restructuring income scenarios, whatever it is that, you can think of, having that processing background allowed me to be able to problem solve it all. So that's how I got into mortgages. And, once the market shifted in 2018, my pipeline, I was normally processing from 60 to 80 loans a month, and it went down to 20 because the rates started shifting. We were heavily refinanced.
This happened in what year?
2018.
Okay.
So the rates started increasing, and we were a heavily refinanced mortgage company, so my pipeline was just not enough, to supplement me being able to feed my 2 kids. So, I decided, okay, it's time to make a move. I'm either going to change out of the mortgage industry or I'm going to try being a loan officer. It's funny because all the loan officers would come to me and say, hey, Sayra, what do I tell my client? Well, not all, but, some of them would say, what do I tell my client? What is the CD? Like, what is this fee that's on there? No one knew how to explain it to them. And I'm like, well, why are these guys, making so much more than me if I'm the one telling them what to do?
Yeah.
Or having to call out the conditions to the clients. So I decided to become a loan officer. And the way that I did that was by joining, a big bank because they gave me a sense of stability with a set salary plus commission. So the first 6 months of my mortgage career as a loan officer, I thought I made the biggest mistake of my life because the rates obviously at a big bank were a lot higher than what it is at a brokerage.
Do you remember how high the rates were back then?
At that time, I remember that I think the first purchase I did there was a 5.5% FHA, which was unheard of at the time,
Right now it'd be pretty good.
Yeah, now it'd be pretty great. But, I did that and I was just so scared because obviously I had to make more in my commissions than I was getting paid salary to make any money. So, I thought that I wasn't going to be able to do it. But as I went on, the biggest thing that I've ever done in life is never giving up without giving it a real battle, giving it a true hard work. So what I did is, I took I think he was 2 years old at the time. I took my son with me. I visited 8 open houses that day. 8 open houses. I was scared shitless. I was scared because, I was scared of rejection. I was scared of realtors telling me, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Even though I did, I wasn't confident about it, So I decided to go out there. And once I broke that ice, I was able to say, you know what, Sayra? Si puedes.
Yeah.
You can do it, And after that, it went all the way up from there. Like I started, making great relationships with realtors. I started making top numbers at the bank that I was at. I was actually number 4 loan officer of community lending officers in 4 states in California. And then, once all of that was all great, I started looking over to my right side and I'm like, there's so many clients that I have not been able to help here at the bank because they just don't fit their parameters. And I hate saying no to a client. I hate saying I just can't do it. My hands are tied behind my back, So I decided to venture out into the broker world and then, I met the mortgage guys.
When was this year when you ventured to the mortgage, to the broker world?
It was just at the end of last year. So I've been, I would say officially, just in the broker world since January this year.
So tell me about your you talked about your parents. How was your relationship with your parents? Did you always was it always easy? Did you have a close relationship with your mom or closer relation with your dad? How was it growing up?
It's funny because my dad was the very typical Hispanic dad that was always working. So my dad was almost never really there, but I knew that he was a provider. I knew that he was going to work start to finish, and he tells us a story every day because my dad had to actually jump the border to come here. He would sweep garages or mechanic places for $10 to bring us food to eat. Because it was me and my 3 sisters. And I didn't have that much of a close relationship to him because he wasn't there. But I knew what he did. My mom was the one that was always there. But, I can even remember to this day that in order for me to have a quinceañera, like I had to clean houses with my mom for a whole summer in order to be able to make it happen. So hard work is just in my blood.
Yeah.
They've always been there for me. But of course, it's one of those things that even from when you're applying to colleges, your parents always want the best thing for you. So when I graduated high school with honors, I only applied to 5 UCs. And out of the 5, I got into 4. And my dad's response to me was like, well, hey, why didn't you get into the 5th one? And it's just your typical Hispanics. They always want you to be, the best of the best. So now growing up, I know that they know that I have a good head on my shoulders and they know that I'm very responsible. So I've always been, I guess I would say, the least problem child for them that they just don't worry about.
Yeah. And your sister, talk about your sister. Were you a big part of her growing up? Because I know she told me that you were very influential in her life. She says that you're like her idol, that she wants to be like you when she grows up, and that you're like an inspiration to a lot of women, and that definitely for her, like that she doesn't know anybody that's as powerful as you and as a good influence as you. So, um, what did you do to your sister? I mean, first of all, for her to think like that of you, because I'm not saying because I think the same as you for you, but your sister just it seems like you impacted her a lot because I had a little conversation with her, but prior to this, but she told me a lot of nice things about you. She said that you literally changed her life. So
You're gonna make me cry. I mean, I think that it's crazy because
she said growing up, like you were always there for her, and for a long time, like you were responsible for her, and you were a big impact in her growth.
yeah, I mean, I can tell you from the way back when, I was a sophomore in high school, we have a 6 year gap between us. So when I was in high school, she was very little, so I ended up leaving the high school that I was at, which was like a very prestigious high school on UCSD campus. But I left because my parents were being separated at the time. So I left to be able to be home and help pick her up from school. So, I tried to be there for her as much as I could. But, because of the age gap, by the time that I was graduating, I had my first son at 19. So my little sister was 13, and I think that she saw me always work hard and never give up, like always give my kids priority and make sure that they had a roof over their head, a car to drive them to school, and they had food and clothes on their back. So mortgages themselves and this industry has brought us closer. I never truly met my sister until we were both in the same industry because we understand 100% our conversations from A to Z. Everyone around us might not know what the hell we're talking about, but it just brought us to be able to understand each other and just know what it is that we go through in order to make all these dreams come true.
Yeah. How is she right now in your team? Like, what's your relationship now, and like, what does she do versus what you do?
So I do my best to make a lot of really great connections for us and for our team. And I try to nurture realtors to see the bigger picture of what it is that we can offer to them. And I bring them in and, I connect them to our team because we all three, Roberto, that's also on my team, we all have the same ideals of being able to not just have a transaction, but help the clients achieve their goal of homeownership. So by bringing these people in, because maybe I'm a little bit more outspoken or maybe I'm a little bit more confident when I'm speaking to these realtors, they're able to come in and speak to the team. And, Roberto has a great way of being extra patient and explaining everything, as well as Vanessa. Vanessa, my sister, is a coach. So she is naturally a coacher. So, any realtor that is looking to just build and grow more into their industry needs to have a strong lender on their side that is not only, able to get the loan from start to close, but that's willing to teach them along the way. Because in our industry, knowledge is power. And when you speak to someone, if you know what you're talking about, they can tell.
Yeah.
That's what allows people to continue wanting to work with you.
What would you say your strengths are? Like, what are your strengths? Because are you a patient woman or not? Not really.
I am and I'm not. I am very patient in the sense that with my clients, I understand that they have no idea our lingo. But I'm also not patient when it comes to getting everything else done. Like I've told you before, they call me Miss ASAP. Because in my head, if I can get this loan closed in 5 or 7 days, why am I going to wait for 21? So anything that can be done on a transaction to get it done sooner and make my realtors look that much better to the listing agent, we're going to do. Whether it's, working late at night or calling to order something else that somebody else can get, we're going to do it ourselves. And that goes for me and everyone on my team.
What's the fastest you've ever closed a loan in?
I've gotten a CTC in 5 days.
5 days?
Yeah. And I was going to get one today for 3 days, but they ended up adding on an appraisal. I had a waiver.
Yeah. So, Sayra, tell me this. Obviously, we're going to get into the mortgage talk, and you're definitely, like I said, one of the best in the company.
Thank you.
But the thing that surprises me for people watching this, because I know a lot of women are going to be watching this, but men, women in general, like everybody in general, like listen to this. Like, Sayra, you have 6 kids. Right? You have 6 kids. And a lot of people make an excuse because they have 1 kid or 2 kids. They got to go take them to school or they can't leave the house. Like, you're fast. They call you Miss ASAP.
Yeah.
and you're always in the top production and you have 6 kids. How do you handle being a mom of 6 and then also being number one of the number ones in the company. How do you do all that and get back to your clients and just do everything at once?
The biggest thing I would say is being overly communicative with everyone. And that goes from my personal relationship all the way to every realtor and every client that I'm working with. So, just recently I had to hire a nanny to help me with my 2-year-old. Thanks to Patty, by the way, for all of the all the tips on all of
Yeah,
that.
Patty's awesome.
She's also, mom and everything.
You,
But
you and Patty are two of my favorites.
thank you. So, it's just being very communicative with everyone. And I have a very strong relationship at home. I have a partner that, was willing to go part-time in his job to help me grow my job, my business, my, team, everything. He's a huge part of me being able to be successful. When I can't pick up the kids, he's there. And, my family, my kids, they all understand that when a client is calling, it's very important. And they know that mommy helps people get homes,
Yeah.
And they ask me, hey, mom, how much money did you give to this client today for them to buy a home? I mean, they don't understand, obviously, the full everything about it, but they think I'm a superhero because I get people into houses. So I like to be very communicative with my realtors, with my clients. If I'm in a meeting, hey, I can't talk to you right now, but I always pick up my phone. I always answer my text messages. It's never like longer than one day. Normally, honestly, it's within a couple of hours or a couple of minutes. But that allows me to stay on top of everything, and I'm as structured as can be. So you have to start everything by planning ahead. If you want to have a good month, if you want to have a good day, you have to structure your day, make yourself a checklist. I might be old school, but I write things down on my notebook and I have a checkbox next to everything that needs to be done. So I make sure that my checklist is done before the day is over because I told someone I was going to do that, So that all allows me to be successful.
I like a notebook too. I use a notebook.
Yeah.
And do you use any CRMs or any stuff like that?
Yeah. So the CRM that I'm using is Monday.com. And I like it because you can tailor it to be able to add in certain things that you want to do. Like, for example, I can add in there, did I call this client? Did I text this client? Did I email this client? And I take a lot of notes. So when I was a processor, every little thing that I did, I had to notate. So I'm that way now. So in my CRM, my pipeline that I have, I go from start to finish every single day, and I type in there, what it is that I did, what is still pending. And even when I'm working on my, in escrows, when I'm following up with escrow for what's pending, I tell them, okay, you sent me this and this. I'm still pending this, and this. So being structured and organized is so key to making sure that you don't miss anything so that your loans can close smoothly.
Question about you going to school. You were an honor student and like you were, how were you just born smart or did you like school? Or how was school like? And how did it feel to be, because you were born in Mexico and then you came here and then you were just an honor student. You speak perfect Spanish too, right?
Perfectamente.
So like what was that, just some like a natural ability that you had? Because I was like a dumb kid. Like I was a D student and I didn't graduate on stage. Like but I didn't like school. I think I just didn't like school and I was a rebel and I just hated school. But like what was your take on school and how were you so good at school?
Well, I personally loved school. I loved reading. I loved history. I loved English. They were my favorite topics in school. It's so funny because I'm very grammatically correct. Like if I post something and I typed it wrong, I have to delete it and repost it because
it feels like
OCD.
that.
But I loved school, and this is a funny something maybe I don't share with everyone. But when I was a kid, I would literally take like 5 chapter books when I would go to the restroom, and I would sit down and I would read while I was going to the restroom for maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I loved reading. So I loved that. I was always, one of the teacher's favorites, of course, because I always had good grades. But I just loved school. So it was just natural to me to make my parents happy. My mom came here with no other family member around her. My dad did have some sisters and brothers that were already here, but my mom had no one. So me being able to be, a top student, honor student, when I went to that high school I went to, the middle and high school, you had to be nominated by the principal to be able to go to the school. You had to apply or you had to have recommendation letters. And they only selected 2 from my school. It was me and this other boy. So all of those little small achievements in my life and little milestones made my mom happy, made my parents happy and proud, so that, continued to push me.
So you went to college for a little bit, or did you? When did you, when you joined the mortgage industry? Did you ever get a degree, or you just skipped?
So I went to UCSD, and after my first year, I got pregnant and I had my first son. So I was 19 years old, and I ended up dropping out of UCSD. But my
How
mind,
was that like?
it was hard. It was hard because I felt that I was letting my parents down. You know, not even so much myself, but I was
Yeah.
letting my parents down because I was supposed to be their first child to walk across the graduation for a college degree. Um, but you know, I said I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to choose not to, you know, work hard and be something in life, you know? And to be quite honest with you, I think that I'm doing better now than I could have ever done if I had finished high school, or I'm sorry, college.
College, yeah. So when you decide, you tell your parents, hey, you know what, I'm gonna get into this mortgage industry. I'm gonna be a loan officer, and I'm just not gonna continue with college. And then you have a newborn coming, right? So
Yeah.
like what is their thinking like? Are they telling you like, are you crazy? What are you thinking? Or what's going on right there with
So
your parents and you?
there was a little bit of a gap between me getting into the mortgage industry because I was 21 when I got into the industry and I had my first son at 19. So the first year after getting out of college, I didn't do anything for 10 months. I decided to, you know, raise my son, and then a couple months later here I was pregnant again, typical Mexicana, right?
Yeah.
And you know, after that my son was born, and 4 months later I become a single mom. So I'm like, shit, you know, with those first, my son, when he was 2 months old, the baby, that's when the whole resume thing started, and I got, you know, I started my first step into the mortgage industry. um, but I was scared. I mean, I was making $10.50 an hour, you know, and here I was with my own rent because I've always been very independent. I lived by myself.
Yeah.
I had my car payment. I had my two kids. I had to pay for childcare. So it was scary. You know, my parents, when I told them that I was going into, you know, being a loan officer and leaving my processing stable job, they were worried. You know, they thought that, you know, even though they knew that I was a hard worker, they were worried that maybe I wasn't going to make the money that I was making because when I left processing to be a loan officer, immediately it was a 50% pay cut. Immediately. So that to me, I was like, oh shit, you know, the pressure is on to be able to provide. But, you know, now that they see everything that has been accomplished, I mean, they're just like, wow. You know, and my mom has even says it sometimes when they give my business cards to people that they
Yeah.
know. They're like, yeah, you know, you can go see my daughter at her office. Or like, her office? Yeah, yeah, her office. You know, it's hers. They're like, oh, she's, you know, the team leader there. Yeah, yeah, that's her. So that just gives them like that extra little oomph of, yeah, my
Yeah.
daughter's a badass, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then my younger sister works with me too. So they're like, yeah, you can go to my daughter's office. And everyone is so surprised around them because not very many people can do that.
Yeah. Now, your office is in San Diego. What part of San Diego? And do you specialize in any types of clients? Like, do you help a lot of first-time home buyers, investors? And talk a little bit about your office.
So my office is located in Paradise Hills. Paradise Hills in San Diego is a very local area. So I love that area because it's not far from anywhere. It's very close to freeways. There's a lot of Hispanics and Filipinos around me, which I love helping because a lot of the people in those ethnicities love to meet face to face.
Yeah.
So they're not very trusting of the internet. They're not very trusting of just someone picking up the phone to ask them for their social security number and date of birth, you know? So I wanted to stay somewhere where people can drive to me and it wasn't, you know, too far for them. So I specialize with a lot of first time home buyers, and the clients that I do have that are become investors are previous clients of mine that went through the process with me to buy their first home and now they're ready for the second one. So first time homebuyers, I would say is heavily where my primary focus is most of the time.
Do you work a lot with realtors?
I do.
Yeah.
So I have created very great relationships with my realtors to where we both want to succeed, but we're also both willing to put in the work to get there, you know? So we don't buy any leads. We don't, you know, go and spend, you know, obscene amounts of money to get someone that's ready to go. We're willing to work with clients that are just not sure where they stand and that, you know, want to get a game plan going. So we nurture them throughout this whole process. And then once they're ready, not only do we have their trust and you know, they know that we're there to help them, but they start recommending their cousins and their aunts and their uncles because they know that we're there for a good cause, not just to
Yeah.
get a transaction out of them.
So if realtors are watching this and they're like thinking like, hey, I want to work with Sayra because I like her. I see how good she is. Are you open to work with new realtors, or are you kind of too busy right now for them?
No, I'm never too busy. If I can handle 6 kids, I can handle more than 20 realtors. So, no, I mean, I am more than available to, work with my realtors. I love setting aside time. So, a big part of what I do is time blocking. So, if I, have a realtor that wants to learn maybe more about what income documents do you look at and why, because if you as a realtor can understand why I look at the things the way that I do, it'll help you explain to the client, because clients always have tons of questions and we have to have the answers. So, the realtors that I work with know that if they're with someone at that time, or if they're talking to someone that doesn't know, and they don't know the answer, they just give me a call, they shoot me a text message, and I can give that to them, because that makes them look that much more professional. But it also makes my realtors feel supported, because they know that they can lean on me for whatever they need. So I am definitely open to bringing in more realtors.
You touched on your background as a processor, and how you think that's a big part of why you're able to get the loans so fast, like the mortgages, and then get CTC in 5 days. You almost had it in 3 days, you said.
Yeah.
But like, I know right now, a lot of realtors, it's very important to close fast or close on time, because there's a lot of things going on, and rates are like changing like by the day. And sometimes clients, sellers, they might have second thoughts, and it's important to have a really, really a loan officer that knows exactly how to do it and how to do it fast. So speed is very important right now for anybody in the industry watching this. Do you think that's one of your top qualities, and you think it's mostly because you have that background in processing that allows you to package it up good, structure it, and get those CTCs like in 5 days, almost 3 days?
Yes. So I think that the structuring of a loan is so important, because if you just take a loan and you throw it against the wall, you're going to be hit with a condition list of 20 to 30 conditions. That's not fun for you. That's not fun for your processor, and it's not fun for your client. So if you're packaging the loan up, correctly from the very beginning, and you ask for letters of explanation, or you submit letters of explanation with your submission, that just allows you to paint a picture to an underwriter that they're going to say, oh, well, if she looked at this, and this, and that means that the rest of her deal is more than likely going to be very well packaged too. So they don't have to put their overly critical underwriter hat on and ask you for more and more conditions. So I think that does definitely help me out a lot. Like I said, without having all of that knowledge, I don't think that I would be as successful as I am now.
Do you have a lot of clients that are only Spanish speakers, or are they mostly both, or what's the percentage of Spanish speakers that you help? Because I know you speak perfect Spanish.
I think that now these days, a lot more of our Hispanics are becoming bilingual, which is awesome, for them. But one of the quotes that I can think of whenever I think about that is, you can never make fun of somebody that has an accent, because that just means that they know another language. So they're just that much more ahead of you if you only know English. So I work with a lot of Spanish speakers, but I think that a lot more of them are speaking both now. But in my personal experience, what I'll do, because some people are touchy about that, some people want to speak in English to you.
Yeah.
So what I do is, I'll say my name in Spanish. Instead of saying Sayra, I say Sayra. So they know I speak Spanish. And then if they choose to start talking to me in Spanish, that's when I'll continue the conversation out in Spanish.
Got it. I have a question for you. So think about something that you've been doing recently that is kind of like something where you feel like you're helping clients, you're going the extra step. And there's a lot of loan officers that sometimes they deny a loan or they can't figure it out. And when somebody that's very knowledgeable and knows all the mortgage stuff, like you'll figure it out and you'll be like, oh, you know what? This loan is actually a good loan. Or sometimes you get a loan and it's approved, and then you're like, oh, you know what? I can go this extra step and actually do more for my client. Is there anything recently that you've been kind of doing that you kind of feel proud of?
Yeah, so I would say that I have some really great, loan officers that I used to work with, great connections with them. And one thing that I did notice is, we have been seeing the interest rates decrease, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I know we all love it.
Yeah.
I know that all the people love it, but not if you don't have the knowledge to understand what a rate float down is or a rate renegotiation is, you're not going to know what to do with that. So when I used to process, I remember back in the day, this was with Flagstar Bank that we would broker out to. When the interest rates had a huge fluctuation and decrease, we would be able to float down the rate. So, one of the loan officers that I used to work with, I saw that he started doing that, and I said, hey, you know what? Let me look into that. So I called my account executive. I got all of the information. I got all of the policies and steps in order, and I currently have now 4 clients that are getting rate renegotiations, and they're decreasing the rate that they were locked in at by least 0.25%.
Guys, if you made it this far, I have an exclusive mastermind that I want you to join. Go to drivenacademy.com and subscribe to my exclusive mastermind where we're gonna meet in person every month at my workshop, and you get more perks. All you gotta do is go to the link below and sign up. I'll see you there. Can you explain how this works exactly?
Yeah.
Like the process?
Yeah.
How fast and easy is it?
So I don't know how fast exactly it is just yet because it's the first time that I have seen this in a very long time. But I can say that the process to calculate to see if it makes sense is fairly easy. You basically just have to go into the file, you do a comparison between today's market and the day that you locked, and if there's enough savings in there for the client in terms of the cost, they can decrease the interest rate. So you just submit the request to the bank, and then they'll review all of the numbers, and if it all makes sense, then they can get that lower interest rate. They won't get any additional credits for it, but they'll be able to decrease the rate, which of course everyone loves because it'll lower their payment.
Yeah. So that's very good. That's actually, like, if you guys are watching this, I know a lot of lenders don't know this, so I don't want to give all your secrets, but
I don't mind sharing the love.
if you're a realtor out there and you want to reach out to Sayra, if you're a borrower and you want to refinance, cash out some money, because there's going to be a lot of good opportunity out there with homes right now. We have a lot of realtors with Ambiance, and a lot of them have been we've been talking about like price reductions where sellers are reducing the prices and then they're giving credits. So you could buy down the rate, and then if you could do this magic that you were talking about, you could even bring it down more. So there's a lot of, I think it's very important to work with very, very savvy LOs, loan officers. So reach out to Sayra. And also, Sayra, one quick thing before we wrap up. Do you remember also, like, maybe a recent past client that you kind of maybe think about a complicated loan that you put together that maybe no other LO could have done, or maybe you rescued the file? Do you have any like complicated file that you could think of?
Yeah, it happens, and as much as you can structure a deal,
you don't shy away from those loans.
No, definitely not, because at the end of the day, you just have to continue fighting when you know you're right, and as long as I'm doing something, in the best interest of my client, I'm always going to fight. So I had this client that they had, it's a DSCR loan, so it's for an investor loan. And she was purchasing this property, and the DSCR loan, you qualify for it based on the rental income that the property can get.
Yeah.
It has to cover the monthly payment of the new loan that you're getting. So in this case, we had the appraiser, he was very much underestimating the amount of rental that it could provide for our client. So it was causing a hit to her interest rate, and it was causing her not to qualify. So we were literally last condition to be able to CTC, and then this was killing my deal.
Yeah.
So we submitted an appraisal rebuttal. I provided comps, my realtor provided comps of the rentals in the area, and we were able to show the underwriter that his rentals were wrong, and we were able to get the loan through. So, I mean, just not being afraid of putting in the work to find a way to fix it allowed us to help my client, who was very touchy about the whole situation because she herself was a new widow. So this money she was using to purchase this property to secure, financial stability for herself in the future was from the life insurance of her husband passing. So, it's obviously very touchy for her, and she was able to get it all through.
So do you work with a lot of investors, or?
Not too many investors. In San Diego, a lot of the families that I have been seeing are looking to buy to live in the homes.
Yeah.
Because our San Diego rents are insane.
Yeah.
So, it just makes a lot more sense for them to, maybe buy with a brother and sister, or buy with the parents and have them all live in the home and just qualify together and pay it together.
Yeah. So tell me a story, Sayra, that you've never shared.
Story that I've never shared. I think the story that I shared about me being 6-7 years old and taking 5 chapter books into the bathroom was something that I've never shared with anyone.
Maybe another one.
I'm a pretty open book, to be honest. I even when it comes to other loan officers, like if you're looking for a team to join, I love to share the knowledge. I love to share my experience. I don't ever shy away or think that, I have to keep everything that I know to myself.
Yeah.
Because I think that there are more than enough loans in this world to go around. And if you truly walk around with, everyone's best interest, like on the palm of your hand,
Yeah.
then you'll reach greatness. So
Tell me about how you are attacking this market right now, like the recession, the down market, hard times. People call it different things, but how are you able to still thrive right now? Is why do you think that is?
to be honest, Albert, it's positivity because I'm not going to stay home and be depressed because the rates are extremely higher than they were last year. I'm going to continue working hard because at the end of the day, I have bills to pay and I have kids to feed.
And people are still buying.
And people are still buying. That's the thing. This is a perfect example. The clients that I have in escrow right now, they trusted me when I said it's okay. When the rates have a shift, we'll refinance, we'll get you into a lower monthly payment, but secure the home now, the home that you want, because you can choose now. And so these clients trusted me, and guess what? Now they're all going to get lower interest rates just because they trusted me. So it's a matter of just, working with someone that knows what they're doing, and when the time is right, I will help them refinance at that point.
How do you feel about the rates and prices? Like, meaning you can't refinance the purchase price, right? But you could refinance the rate.
Right.
So last year, let's say property people were offering more for the house and getting a lower rate. But if you think about it now people are offering less and getting a slightly higher rate. So all in all, it's almost like equal. It's not and why it's better is because now you're getting a lower purchase price and the rate's just temporary. Like the rate is not going to stay like that forever. Like we know rates like go up and down, and when they go down, you refinance. So I think right now it's a way better opportunity for a lot of people that are looking to buy, and also it's also kind of sad in a way because I've noticed a lot of loan officers and realtors just stopped. Like it's almost like they just froze because they're like, what am I gonna do? And then the holidays are coming, so I think it's gonna be like a very, very like open opportunity to go out there and just get the best deals and work with somebody that's not scared of this market, that knows, like you just said, you're even lowering the rate even more, and you're finding ways to like go deeper and help your clients more. So I think that's very, very important. And how do you feel like going into early next year and closing out this year? Do you feel like you're going to have like your next biggest 2 months, 3 months, or how do you see the final quarter of this year and the beginning quarter of the next year?
So first, touching on, the lower purchase price that you mentioned and being able to refinance, your tax rate is based off of the purchase price. So if you're buying at this lower purchase price now, your taxes are going to be lower.
Yeah.
So that means that when you go to refinance, you're going to drop the rate and the payment's going to be even lower, So there's no reason not to do it. It's more people just being scared or not being educated correctly, understanding the difference of the wash between the two, comparisons that we just made. So in terms of, finishing up the year, it's funny because November and December, for whatever reason, us as humans choose to shut down and choose to just want to be home. But you cannot, especially in this type of, job career that we have. If you do not work for 1 month, your next 3 months are going to be tough.
Yeah.
Because it's all flowing. There's clients that you will work with for months and months and months until they finally decide to pop. It so happens for me, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, whenever I open up an escrow, I'll have like boom, 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 and it'll be like 3 or 4 in the same week. And it's just because I continue to nurture, but I continue to want to get these pre-approvals continuously flowing. So in these next 2 months, people are going to choose not to work, and I am. So what's going to end up happening is that my beginning to next year already, from what I can see, is going to be probably my strongest. Because when people are choosing to shut down and just stay at home and say, woe is me, the interest rates are too high, there's no one wanting to buy, it's wrong, because there are people that are being smart enough and wanting to buy. So that'll just generate more business for me because I'm going to be available in person, over the phone, by text message, and I'll be there.
you nailed it right now with momentum. So momentum is very, very important, because when you kind of take a break for a month, when you lose that momentum, it's almost impossible to get it back, or it's gonna take you forever to get it back. So I think that, like, that's great leadership right there. And when you as a leader, you're showing up and you're working, and nothing messes with your mindset, and you show up to your office and you have your team, everybody sees you and they follow from that energy. And they're like, you know what, if the boss is working her ass off and she's not being affected by this and she's going, then you're gonna create that energy, and you're gonna motivate them to do the same. I think what happens is sometimes when people don't have, like other loan officers or realtors, they don't have the right leader there that's showing with results and with action, then it dies out. So what we've been noticing a lot, Sayra, is that a lot of people have been reaching out to us that last year, like agents and loan officers, they weren't ready to join. But now we're getting a lot of people that are, I'm ready to join, because just the energy and the environment is not there. So, like, do you touched on momentum, but if people are watching this and like other LOs and they want to join your team, are you looking to grow your team, and how big do you want to grow your team over there in San Diego?
You know, I don't have a specific number in mind. I just want to be able to give them the attention that they need. So everyone's scenario is going to be different depending on the experience that they have. But, you know, my team you can even call them and ask them.
Yeah.
You know, if they have a question or they're going through a file and they're not sure about structuring, you have to be able to be there. You know, and I like to provide that to my team. So I have more than enough time to, you know, be able to help some new loan officers. So I'm definitely open to bringing some more people in. And, you know, we have to lead by example. Like you said, you have to be the hardest. I learned that from you.
Yeah.
You have to be the hardest worker in the room.
Yeah.
Because when people around you see that, it just makes them want to work that much harder.
Yeah.
You know, like I have some insurance girls that are very close to our office there too. And they see me and they're like, Sayra, you're the first one to get here and you're the last one to leave most days, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, sí, no me alcanza el tiempo en el día. You know, there's not enough time. And I go and I be a mom for a couple of hours, take my kids to practice, and I'm there on my computer again after dinner because I have some things that we're not done yet.
Yeah, that's very important, and we have a lot of a likeness in that sense, because, like I was telling Sil yesterday, like, I think I'm losing my voice. That's why I'm talking a little bit weird, because I said I think I'm losing my voice, because we had trainings and I was the trainer. I was one of the trainers. Then I had a few interviews. I went on a live. I went on, so it was just back to back but I've been doing it like for like weeks nonstop. So I was doing a live in the morning, and then my voice, like, I started feeling like pain right here. And it started going like lower and lower, and I'm like, am I losing my voice? And I was asking myself like do and then I kind of like get I go up tone, lower tone, like I move my tones.
Yeah.
Like that's how I kind of communicate. Like, I lower my voice, then I scream sometimes, or up it a lot, and then my throat was feeling weird, and I said, man, how do singers do it? How do people that train all day do it? So I was thinking about that, but I was thinking also, like, I've been very disciplined with, like, the time I wake up, the time I go to bed. Like, I go to bed when I'm exhausted, when I can't keep my eyes open anymore. So I felt it, but days always go so fast.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're like, man, you know what? I could have done this, that. I didn't finish this. But every day, like, you're going to go to sleep thinking, why couldn't it be longer? I could have done more. But that's something you have. Like, you always want more. Like, you always want to get better. And as long as you remain coachable, hungry, and humble, you know, you're gonna go all the way to the top. So I'm really excited for what you're gonna do in the years to come.
Thank you.
If you are killing it right now in these times, just imagine in 12 months, in 18 months. So there's not gonna be any competition for you, and I'm very 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 excited for you, Sayra. If people want to reach out to you, where can people follow you? What's your favorite contact place? Can you just tell them?
Yeah, so you can follow me right here at Sayra Mortgage Mommy. You can shoot me a message, 619-372-3524. Give me a call. And, you know, we can talk a little bit more about things. You can swing by my office. We can grab some coffee. You know, and I do want to say that being in an energy like this company that we have, being around badasses, you know, the Patties, the Oscars, the Frankies, all these people that are around you, John, I mean, you know, it just builds you and makes you want to be, you know, that much better. You know,
Yeah.
we were at the Top Performer event last month, and I
Yeah.
said, Frankie, oh, okay, yeah, I'll see you at the next top Performer. And he's like, if you make it, I'm like, oh, you'll see me there. You know, just that friendly competition, you know, that makes you want to continuously be better and continue growing.
Yeah.
So having the right leader, you know, there's team leads, but there's also a main leader, and having someone like you know, like I tell you all the time, I look up to you. Having people like that around you just makes you look at what you could be. So, you
Yeah.
know, all the potential and everything that you guys see in me makes me, you know, fuels my fire to continue being better. So thank you guys for that.
And you know what? One quick thing because it's important, and I think a lot of people are going to get value from this. You mentioned something that and very important: competition. I know you're extremely competitive, and there's people that they get weak when people are competitive. Like when people are demanding and people are strong and have that strong mindset, and they're like, I'm gonna be, you know, I'm gonna kick your ass. No, I'm gonna kick your ass. And people start getting extremely competitive. It kind of like the softies get hurt.
Yeah.
And in these times, you can be a softie and you can be weak. And one thing that I lead by example is, look, I got a family. You know, I got 2 little girls, another little girl on the way. I got a family, and I got people that are really all in. People that are all in, I need to protect my people, starting with my kids to like people that are all in. And I know that I can be weak. Imagine if I was weak or if I was a softie, forget it. We would be out of business. But I'm not that kind of a person. Like I've never lost, I've never quit. And but I mean by lost, like you like baseball. You know, you go 7 games, right? It's a 7-game series, just like basketball. Finals.
It's a little bit different for Little League.
How-
We're just in the Little Leagues, but
Oh, little leagues. Okay, so you know basketball, right?
Yeah.
But I think the Major League Baseball, it's also 7-game series, right?
I believe so.
I'm pretty sure. Like basketball, it's 7 games. The first team to win 4 games wins the championship. So you could lose 3 games, but then you win you win 4 games, and then you win the championship. So like I've never lost a championship. I've never quit in my life because my dad, he always told me, I grew up with this, never be a quitter, because once you quit, like if you quit one time, whenever it gets hard, you're going to quit. A lot of people quit in 2008. So in 2008, I know a lot of people, old buddies, that they quit because they got really hard. And guess what? They got out of the mortgage industry and they went to do insurance. They went to do other things, loan mods, whatever. When people quit one time, when it gets hard and extremely hard, they're going to quit. When times get really tough and you're not a quitter and you have that drive and you think about your kids, you're going to be like, you know what? I am going to do whatever it takes. If things are not working that I was doing back in March or back in last year, then that means I have to pivot. I have to change with change and find other ways to be creative and get business and help my customers, help my realtors, make them better. So I think that's something that you have. I lost my thought what I was saying, but
We're talking about competition.
yeah, competition. So it's very. I wanted to ask you this final thing, like why don't you cry, get soft, or complain when other people are telling you or challenging you, like, hey, I'm gonna kick your ass, and you're like, no, I'm gonna kick your ass. Why do you think certain people like you? Because you mentioned people, Frankie, he's like that. Patty's like that. Patty likes to talk shit in a good way. In a good way. She never disrespects anybody. She is very kind, loving, and cares about people. But you mess with her, and she'll mess with you back. And what she does is she tells people, I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna be number 1, and then she gets number 1. So, what do you think makes you like that? Do you think because you're a mother? Do you think because of your upbringing? You're just a very tough girl. Like you're tough. You're not. I don't see anything weak in you. And that's why I think that you're going to be somebody that's going to be a threat in a good way. I'm not saying threat in a bad way, but you're going to be dangerous. That's a better word. You're going to be dangerous in the mortgage industry. So to close out, what makes you that, what gives you that toughness? Like, why are you so tough? Why aren't you weak?
So it's exactly what you said. And it's funny because I feel like you brought those words exactly out of my head because I was just talking about that yesterday. You cannot be weak in this industry, but in your life, because you have someone to get home to, you have someone to feed, you have someone that if I, stop working, what's going to happen to my household? What's going to happen to my kids? Are we going to get our cars taken away, our house? You know, I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
No matter what, I am going to figure out a way to do it. And when I told someone that I was going to be, you know, opening up my own team, they said, well, what happens when you don't have a loan? I said, well, I'm going to go find another one.
Yeah.
You know, because no matter what, I have to get it done. And my upbringing, you know, having my parents, you know, come to the U.S. for that reason, for us to have a better life, that pushes me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm now a citizen, but, you know, that pushed me when we were scared before I was 14, before we became residents, when I was scared of, you know, seeing a troca de la migra that was going to try to take my family or something, you know, like all of that fuels the fire.
Yeah.
You know, there's no choice. There's no choice. There's just, it's up and that's it.
That's awesome. What is your dream? Do you have a dream that you want to accomplish? Like what is your main purpose? Like why do you want to win so bad? Just curious. Just
the main reason why I want to win so badly is
like where do you see yourself in 10 years, 5 years?
I want financial freedom to where if I want to be, which I still do this now, be at every single one of my kids' baseball games, be at every single practice, be able to have them know that their mom is in their corner no matter what. That's my dream, being able to be so financially stable that I can get up and go at any time to be there for my kids and be there for my husband.
Sayra, well, thank you for being you. Thank you for being amazing. Thank you for being a hero to your kids, to your partner. I know he's very, very, very proud of you, and so are we. So I'll put all your information, contact below, and then reach out to Sayra.
Yes.
One quick thing that I want to do for San Diego. So for San Diego TMG, what I want to do is like first 2-3 people, let's say 3 people that reach out to you for a transaction, they need help, they open escrow for maybe a purchase or for a refi, we're going to take care of their appraisal. So we're going to take care of their appraisal. Reach out to Sayra right here. She's one of the best, if not the best. I can't wait to see like once it gets very competitive and like you, Patty, Anna's they're coming up. So I really like the competition, and I really want to help San Diego because there's like I have family in TJ. It's pretty close to San Diego. So I like the San Diego community. So I want to help them. If you are in San Diego or anywhere else, but if you're in the San Diego area and you work with my girl right here, Sayra, we're going to take care of your appraisal. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, Sayra.
Thank you so much.